Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 68 of the podcast. And before we begin, we would like to wish everyone a very belated happy Thanksgiving.
Yes,
We are
yes, yes.
we are recording this on like Wednesday night.
But
So,
you're seeing this Saturday, so yeah.
but you're seeing this on Saturday. But none the
And,
lesser we.
and for all the people to interrupt, to all the people in PA who can't drink on this Wednesday because of the restrictions at 5:30 this evening. No bars, restaurants can serve alcohol to try to limit people gathering, fight COVID. Here's a Captain of Coke. Cheers. Here.
Yeah, guys, we do have some pretty good topics this week. Obviously, the NFL talk and all of the and all of the COVID stuff going on with the with the with the Ravens in the Steelers game. We're going to dive into that. Mandalorian, recent most recent episode, or like episode
Last Friday.
yeah,
Yeah.
from the previous Friday. We're going to be discussing that. Also, to Matt, he wanted to dive into some talk with in regards with Conan O'Brien, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about like late night TV there, as well. And we will also deep dive, or dive into some like UFC talk, and also Roy Jones Jr.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, and we're going to deep dive into
I was like, oh no, it froze again.
No, I accidentally hit like mute. So we're gonna be talking in Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones as well later on in the show here. But first, Matt, probably in my opinion, the biggest story right now is the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that game is no longer happening on Thanksgiving. It was
or was not. It was supposed to. Yeah.
it was supposed to, but it was announced earlier this afternoon that the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens will be postponed until Sunday, which is going to be happening at 1:15 on NBC, which I can't recall that ever happening. So
No.
that should be interesting. But basically, a whole bunch of Baltimore Ravens tested positive for COVID, and apparently, from 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 what I read, that supposedly their strength and conditioning coach violated COVID protocols multiple times, and there's a wonder if that might have started with the actual outbreak, because they weren't following protocols, were wearing masks consistently, so on and so forth. So the question I have, Matt, is a were you surprised that they postponed this, and b um like does are you concerned at all with the amount of positive tests that they have, that the game this weekend could possibly be in jeopardy?
Was I surprised? No. To be honest, just because it seemed like the last a couple days it was like worse and worse news. I just wasn't confident in this game happening. Could have happened, yes, obviously, but I don't know. Like, I'm torn on how I feel, because yes, I wanted to see the game. Well, tomorrow night on Thanksgiving, because looking at the football slate at before, I mean, that doesn't have anybody's attention. Really, they're not like the best games. To be fair, um, could they be good? Yeah, but it's teams that are pretty much out of it for the most part. Um, so it's the evening, the night capper, if you will, of Thanksgiving is gone. Um, but and then Sunday it's all, at least it's on NBC still. But it's a 1 o'clock game. That should be a primetime game.
Mhm.
At least it's on a different channel that people can still tune in. So pretty much all those different regional games, if it's not your team, most people I would assume are going to tune in to 1 o'clock to the game on
Yeah.
NBC. It's probably going to be, well, with the
The
highest
highest
rated
rate,
1 o'clock
easily.
in some time,
And
I
I
would
think
assume.
and I think if they didn't have Tampa Bay versus Kansas City on the 4:30 slate,
Yeah,
that game would
yeah,
probably have been
yeah. You're
on the
not,
4:30.
you're not taking that out or
No,
competing with that.
no,
You
absolutely
want
not.
everybody to see that. If you're the NFL, and
Mhm.
if you're with CBS or whoever, um, a lot of the Steelers, if everybody saw on Twitter, were upset with the move, mainly
Eric
because,
Ebron, Eric Ebron was
yeah,
losing
really
his
upset.
goddamn mind. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Mainly because if this was the first instance, I don't think a lot of people would be upset. But they they were upset that their bye week got to taken away earlier, week 7, week 8, one of the two.
Yeah, because they had to take it on like week 4, which honestly wasn't really a bye week because they were still practicing through through that Thursday night, which and of course, and predictably, other fans were like, well, you guys already had a bye. I was like, not really, like they were practicing every day except for Friday that week. Like it just like and like I completely understand why they're all so pissed off because especially Matt, if you recall the game um um with the 49ers,
Yeah,
I think they were facing the Patriots where basically their whole or half of the freaking team was on the COVID list and the NFL never
yeah.
reschedule that, and that's why a lot of players are really pissed off. It's like it's so inconsistent.
That's the big reason.
Yeah, and that's why they are mad. But like they would perfectly understand if they were doing the same thing for any sort of situation that popped up here. But as we have seen, that hasn't been the case, and especially we find out that the Baltimore Ravens openly violate these protocols. It's like there needs to be stiffer punishments, but
Than just a team
also
fine and
yeah,
stuff
but the problem is we have
like Tennessee.
already right. They basically they put a slap on the freaking wrist with those guys. So even if they put down a heavy a heavy discipline on the Ravens, it's going to be absolutely meaningless since they all have already have set that precedent with the Tennessee Titans. So it's like I just think that the NFL could have handled this a lot better. Just too much confusion and just too much inconsistencies with this. And 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 at this moment, Matt, like we're still are even unsure if this game is going to be even played because if positive tests keep on coming out here, like there's not going to be a game played because like right now I think they're up to 7 positive
Play
tests as far as players are concerned right now.
something, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they're I think they're out two starting running backs, a starting center, a starting defensive tackle, a backup offensive lineman. So it's there's more and more dominoes falling here. So you gotta wonder, um, um, like how much more um are going to be affected here because too they are still are going through the contact tracing on top of that. So we don't actually know, um, you know how many how many more guys could be possibly placed on that COVID list. And and I saw something earlier today where I think it was like John Clayton was on the fan and he said like, oh, there's a chance that J.K. Dobbins and Ingram could possibly play. I'm like, no, because they tested positive unless they were false positives, but all of the indications are that they tested positive, which means that's a full week at the very least, and probably two, because I believe that they have to quarantine for at least 10 or 14 days, and I believe that the Baltimore Ravens play on Thursday night. Actually, so actually, this too kind of screws them a little bit, just because now they have to um play on a short week if this game um doesn't get canceled with the Steelers here, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of like it just sucks for the Thanksgiving game. If you just
Well,
take it from a fan's perspective.
especially to
Um,
Matt. Well, especially to those other two games are shit. like, let's
yeah,
be honest. Like Houston versus Detroit and Dallas versus Washington. Ugh. Like
the
you
first
just
game I think is the best out of the two.
yeah.
Because
I mean, if I didn't have any sort of like fantasy football allegiances in these games, I would not be watching. Like that's how bad that these games are on paper right now. It's just man. I
I'm gonna be
mean,
watching because it's something to watch, and
yeah, yeah, true.
it's football, and it's kind of a tradition on a
Yeah, yeah, on
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
But
Yeah,
um, yeah, I don't know. It sucks. It's unfortunate, and if the rumors of that trainer or whoever
mm-hmm.
um, that for Baltimore, that's just uh, so much neglect on his part. And if I was Baltimore, if what they say is true, he would be gone.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
like
just
to me, it
if
needs
he
to
hasn't already.
be. Um, I mean, if he has proven to be like negligent here, I think you have to let him go. And if you are the NFL, you need to send a freaking message because now this is the second team now who has violated protocols. And two, it's like been the absolute worst luck for the Steelers just because of course they have been affected by this since obviously with Tennessee they lost their bye week, and now this push back a like mini bye week because supposedly Tomlin was going to be giving them a day pretty much off from the game until like next Wednesday, which that's like a good what
Basically a week.
yeah, basically a week there, which they were probably salivating at just because they haven't really had any time off whatsoever all season.
Yeah.
So definitely frustrating for them. But as we talk about the game itself, Matt, obviously the Baltimore Ravens lost another heartbreaker against the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. Um, what did you make out of that game? Although we although we kind of just like watched the very end of that since we were obviously watching the Steeler game there.
Um, that puts the Ravens' uh, playoff chances on the edge here. Because already out as of now. If the season ended now, and if they lose Sunday to the Steelers, they're what 6-5.
6-5, and man, like, and I'm just looking at the games for this week. Um, so like, Titans versus Colts is happening, which that's a very big game there.
Yeah.
Which if Tennessee wins that game, then that isn't going to be helping them. So they really need Indianapolis to
Browns and
actually
Jags. That
Browns and
should be a
Jags
Browns win.
wins. Yeah, and that's one wild card team right there.
Patriots and Cardinals, and if Patriots, pull out a win here by
Yeah,
chance,
yeah.
that doesn't help.
Miami versus the like lowly Jets, which
Oh
that should
yeah,
be
I forgot.
that should
That
be
makes them to 7-4.
yeah,
You have. Wait, I gotta find that. Why can't I get the standings? Hang on.
yeah, like
Son of a bitch.
those and
Because right now,
and Oakland and or sorry, I'm like Vegas versus Atlanta, which that should be a game that Vegas should win there. So
yeah, you're tied with Miami, and then you got Vegas in front of you,
right.
and you're tied with Vegas. So Vegas, who did you say Vegas is winning? I'm sorry.
Over
Or facing.
Atlanta. Atlanta.
You would think they win that.
Mhm.
So they're 7-4. Cleveland should win. That's 8-3. Tennessee and Indianapolis could just kind of switch. No, not really switch places, but they're tied with Cleveland right now. All three of them, and Buffalo. So there's a bunch of teams at 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
If New England wins, they're 5-6. They're
Which means they would be Which means they would only be a game
out.
away from, and on top of that, they own the tiebreaker over Baltimore since they beat them. So, like, to me, I kind of view this as a like must win for Baltimore, because even though with their schedule gets pretty easy down the stretch here.
The last three games are Jags, Giants, and Bengals.
Right. But I think
then they have the Cowboys next.
Yeah, and I think they face
Cleveland.
Yeah. Which that game I don't think is going to be as easy now for them, especially with how many injuries that they have up and down.
Imagine if the Cleveland Browns give them their sixth loss, and you assume they were going to beat the Cowboys.
Yep.
Should and say it again, if the Steelers beat the Ravens, give them their sixth loss, give them this. So there'll be 6-5, 7-5, 7-6, and
I can tell you right now, if they
the Browns kind of put the nail in the coffin of Baltimore.
They need to win at least one of those two games against either us or Cleveland, because
they lose both. I think it's over.
Oh yeah, because you're basically fighting with the Raiders, with like Miami, with Cleveland, and there's another and probably the Patriots.
Because the Browns face the Jags, we mentioned, and they face Tennessee,
right?
Which
and Tennessee too. Depending on how they do against them in Indianapolis there. So
they face the Jags, so you assume they go 8-3. They face Tennessee. That can go either way. They're either going to be 8-4, 9-3. Then they face Baltimore. So imagine Baltimore or Cleveland being 10-3 or 9-4 coming out of that game. And then they have the Giants and Jets the end of the season. Or not the end of the season, because they end with the Steelers. So they have those two games in the Steelers. Like, Jesus. And then the teams you mentioned, who they have to fight against, um, like what you mentioned. Come on, playoffs. Vegas, Cleveland, Tennessee, Indy, Miami,
Mm-hmm.
uh, sneaking on their. Technically, Denver and New England. I don't know about Denver, but technically they're still in it. Um, I more scared of. I would be more scared of New England and Denver. Um, but if New England can play more consistent, um, which I'm not confident in that, just based on what I'm seeing. But still, you have them on your tails, and who's New England play? Arizona, then the Chargers, then the Rams, then the Dolphins, Bills, and then the Jets. And that's not a that's not an easy schedule for New England.
No,
So you
it's
would assume, let's just assume the best record wins those games. The Dolphins and
mhm.
Patriots win, so that adds to them. That knocks them out. So you might not have that many people on your tail for Baltimore, but you have a lot of people in front of you.
Yep, yep.
That's the thing.
And that's the problem there. Like that
You
loss
can't
again,
lose. Go ahead.
that loss against the Patriots, and especially against Tennessee, where they had that game, is going to prove to be
Very critical.
it is going to kill them because as I look at this game against the Steelers on paper, this the Steelers should win this game.
They're 5-point favorites. Steelers
They're
are now.
they are 5 point favorites. And the Ravens have injuries everywhere. They have COVID issues. They have confidence issues.
Yeah, the
Just
Steelers should win, but obviously it's Steelers and Ravens. You never
yeah,
know. I'm not.
you never know with these games. Like, I
I'm
mean,
not cutting it up.
I mean, like, just like whenever these two teams face, just throw out any sort of like records,
Records.
accolades,
Oh,
whatever. It doesn't matter because these games are always close, but at the same time, I just look at this Baltimore offense and it has struggled all season. Lamar has just not
and
had,
against the Steelers.
especially against the Steelers, he's turned the ball over, I believe, a combined 8 times against them. He's been sacked, I think, around like 9 times total against them. He has had some really big fits, and I don't necessarily agree with the freaking narrative that it's all his fault. I just feel like
No.
he doesn't have any weapons around him. Yeah, yeah, he has a very good running game and a very good offensive line, but he has no wide receivers. Like Hollywood Brown has proven to be a major disappointment for them. I mean, like it's so bad that they signed Des Bryant, who I believe hasn't played in the NFL since 2017. Um, since 2017. So it's just like they have just not done a good job in drafting in developing wide receivers, and that's been perfectly evident here. And us, especially when this team has to come from behind, they are exposed. And against a very fast and very athletic defense like the Steelers had, who force a lot of turnovers, that is the defense that's going to cause him problems.
The
And
yeah,
yeah,
the key for the Steelers is uh, need to try to avoid a slow start and put if they put points up quickly, get the
oh yeah,
if they put let's just say first quarter, this is best case scenario 10 14 points,
that's exactly what you want.
14-3 14 like if you get like 14 you're feeling good. I mean that's not the end all be all whatever, but the narrative is the, like you said, the comeback from behind for Baltimore. They've have not been good. If they have the
No, and
lead, they're much better.
right, exactly, and now we finally have a healthy Tyson Alu.
Alo walla wallaloo.
Yeah, yeah, and also Mike Hilton, who I don't think can be understated how important that he is for this defense, especially in the running game. Like, just that can't be
Yeah.
dis, disputed at all there. So, I mean, I'm very interested to see how they can actually do running it, just because without J.K. Dobbins, who had a huge game against these Steelers, I think he had at least 130 yards against them. So like, um, and now they're down to Gus Edwards as their starting running back right now. So um, it's going to be interesting how they're going to generate points. Because I feel like if the Steelers do not get like super gashed like they did, I don't know how Baltimore is going to score points against us. They just like I mean, I'm just looking at them and against our defense and how well they are playing now, like especially from the Cincinnati game and against Jacksonville. And like, yes, I know it's just Cincinnati and Jacksonville, but they have only allowed a combined of like 13 points um, against those teams. They have forced what 6 or 7 turnovers in those
It was like
games.
3 the last game or something
Yeah,
like
or
that.
it just like Minka Helly 2 picks, Trey or Terrell Edmonds had Helly 2 picks, and he's been having a tremendous year this year. I mean, I tell you, like when they drafted him, Matt, and I've seen like Steer fans just like bitch up a freaking storm about him, myself included. But man, he has played well, and I'm just glad to see that he's finally starting to play like a very good a very good like a strong safety now. So I'm very happy to see that. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
I
see. Yeah.
Lamar needs to play in terms of facing the Steelers a game of his life.
Yep, absolutely.
Because if it's anything like the first meeting with what he had two turnovers, was it two? It was at least
No,
one
like
interception.
no. I think he had four actually. I think he had 4 turnovers. Yeah,
Lamar himself.
yeah. He threw 2 picks and I think he fumbled it
Why don't
twice.
I remember? Hang on.
There was a pick six from playing
Yeah,
a pick
for
by like a
two.
by like Highsmith, a
He had two.
fumble
Wait, yeah, he had 2 interceptions. Yeah, hang on.
and 2 like fumbles. One in the red zone in the first half, and in the second, obviously when he tried like running it on a quarterback draw, which was on fourth down.
Yeah, there's Yeah, 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles lost, interception thrown. Yeah, let me see.
Yeah,
I totally. Um, he had 3 fumbles, 2 lost, and then Andrews had 1 fumble.
yep,
I don't
yep,
think one was lost. 2 were lost, but
right.
so they had 4 fumbles, 2 interceptions,
Mm-hmm.
but only 4 actual turnovers. Um, so yeah, that can't happen again if you're Baltimore, obviously, because if you it's the timely ones, and if the offense is in the groove, or where you do it at on the field, um, that's not good. That is not good. That's not the
No,
winning formula.
no, and it's just and like that's has been the story of the season is like is like from the previous season, man. They had every single thing go on their way, whereas for this season, everything has gone in the complete opposite way. Where
It's yeah, they start out good, and then just stuff is just falling slowly but surely, and things are
in
not going their way.
no, not at all. So we'll see how that game
I
goes, and yeah,
would not I would never expect it if you told me in the beginning of the year um, how Baltimore season was going, and they would
same for
be
us too. Same for us too.
what? Yes, I wouldn't think we'd be perfect through 10. We wouldn't be 10-0, and Baltimore wouldn't be struggling for their playoff lives,
Right.
or or I don't know if struggling is the wrong word, but on the brink
Yeah.
of not making the playoffs. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, it's a very interesting year. It's 2020,
Yep. And I tell you, man,
to say the least.
yeah, and some of the other games too that kind of shocked me. How does the Denver Broncos beat the freaking Dolphins? Like that,
Um,
I
Probably because Tua was not playing
or
for
or
whatever.
or no, he was actually benched for
That's
he gets
exactly because
benched.
he wasn't playing. Why? I don't. Did it come out why he was? Did they say why he wasn't playing?
Or
Didn't they?
basically he was just playing bad and for his
He was playing bad.
yep
Tua,
yep too
wasn't he like 3-0 as a starter?
yep well
Am I missing something here?
he got sacked like it was like 7 times or something in that game though too
Is that his
and
fault?
and and they just weren't like moving it and from what Brian Flores said that they were just looking for a spark in the offense with some
Yeah,
Fitzpatrick.
and that
So
didn't work. I don't know why
obviously,
you taking why you
so
take him out.
so that happened. And Matt, the Dallas Cowboys finally win a game. Yes, they are now 3-7 in the dreaded NFC least. And the freaking Philadelphia Eagles lost yet again against the Cleveland Browns. And congratulations, guys! You now face the Seattle Seahawks this week.
The only reason why Philadelphia is leading the division is because they tied.
That
Basically, everybody. If you don't include that tie, basically everybody's 3-7.
yeah, and I think after this week, Matt, the like Dallas Cowboys, they will be first place.
That's
After this week,
hilarious to me.
like that, which
So
is
that's so funny.
that just like they could
At
be
four
four
and
and
seven,
seven at 4-7 and be in first place in
the
the
Annie Dalton effect.
the
Like
Andy Dalton effect, man. I just
how
it's I've never seen a NFL a professional football NFL division this bad ever in my lifetime. It's
because okay.
truly a sight to see, and how even to
We
with the
didn't.
Giants,
Oh wait, but
they weren't
Giants, yeah, Bengals are out with Joe
right,
Morrow with a
right,
devastating. So they
exactly,
could be 4-7. They could be 4-7. They could be tied for first with
right,
Dallas. Washington's week. What's the next week? You got Redskins versus the Steelers. You would assume they win the Steelers.
yep,
That would force them to probably 3-9. So could that
yep,
tech? And then the Cowboys face Baltimore.
mm-hmm.
And you assume the Ravens win.
Yep,
And then you have Giants and the Seahawks. Like, so they're gonna lose. You would assume.
yeah, yeah,
And then the Eagles against the Packers. Like, who knows with this division? Who the hell know? Who knows who's gonna win? It's
I don't know.
that's hilarious. And the Cowboys face the Bengals, so who knows there? That could be a win for them. The Giants face the Cardinals. You would assume the Cardinals win that. This is week 14. By the way, if I didn't say that, then you have Saints and the Eagles. I'm assuming the Eagles don't win that, and then the 49ers and the Washington. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But a game that
It's the most intriguing division, I might say.
Yeah, you can say that. And we also saw on Monday Night Football the LA Rams defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 27-24, and
Old man Brady.
old man Brady is looking really, really damn old now, man. I mean, like, like people have been ragging on Ben about his downfield throws. Holy shit! Like, then what the hell is Tom Brady? Like, this man seriously cannot pass past like 10 yards. Like, I just and I tell you, I'm like, I'm Steel fans. I plead to you, stop feuding um with a pro football focus. Okay, they're like, it's just every single day, man. It's like they're getting so mad at them for hating on like Ben and shit. I'm like, look, there are just a bunch of freaking trolls now. Like, you cannot convince me. I don't care what any sort of like metric shows whatsoever. Tom Brady is not a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger
This
now.
season. Yeah, this season.
This season. Like, there is nothing you can show me that's going to prove otherwise. Ben can actually throw the ball past 20 yards. Hell, he threw a beautiful ball to Chase Claypool, who somehow is not a top 10 rookie according to ESPN. Don't even get me started with that. His now has 10 touchdowns. So, and if you look at like him and Johnson, everyone else, like, it's just, I think that has been proven. He has had a better year, and now,
Yep.
and now with Tampa, I tell you, like, the more and more I see Matt, the more and more I think this is a League One and out team. I don't think that they beat a Seattle. I don't think they beat a like New Orleans right now.
Because right
Um,
now, if it would be
hell, even LA right now. I'm not even sure if they beat them right now.
right now, it'd be Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
Which I would give the edge to Aaron Rodgers here, because I think too, Matt.
And
Um,
somehow it'd be filled up. I think if they're doing 2-7, yeah, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, it'd be Seattle away at Philadelphia.
yeah, it's just, I just do not. I just don't think that team is
Inconsistent.
it's very inconsistent. And now you're seeing Arians calling out Tom Brady in his press conferences. It's a beautiful
Arians
thing.
Arians does not care.
He does not give a
He
single
doesn't
shit.
care if you're a first ballot, a unanimous Hall of Famer.
No,
He's gonna call you out. And
I just find it hilarious. You never heard anything when he was with like with like Ben or Andrew Luck or anyone else, but with Brady, just taking him
because
to
most of the
the bullshit.
times, I
To the
mean,
bullshit.
you can have bad games, but with Ben, but like they were not really, I would say bad, even though Tampa Bay 7-4.
Yeah.
I think just Arians. No, I think he wants to get Brady fired up
Right.
because it's Brady. Let's be honest. It's yeah, he's older, but
Yeah.
he's still
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a tactic by Arians to get him pissed off and to like
Mm-hmm.
show like to get back to the old Brady. I think that's just his tactic, and I even though they're 7-4, I would still say they make the playoffs because their schedule is relatively easy. Yeah, got Arizona nipping on them from behind. Arizona's 6-4 as the 7th seed. The
Yeah.
Bears are 5-5 as the 8th. You don't.
No, Bears
I don't
are
think.
just free falling right now.
And Minnesota's 4-6, as is Detroit and San Francisco. But I think you're hard pressed to see any of those three teams
Right.
get in. I think your top 7 is pretty much what you're going to see. Just rearrange.
Yeah.
Well, with the exception of um, the NFC East, with whatever wins that division is going to be your fourth
Yeah,
seed. But
there isn't as much uncertainty in the NFC compared to the AFC, where
AFC,
like
right?
there's just so much
There's
better teams over there. Uh,
nine. There's at least nine. If you look at the top nine, it could be any
yeah,
of those top nine.
yeah,
Maybe with the exception of maybe some another team or so.
all
So
right,
maybe you could see 10 teams possibly the in it, mainly nine. But NFC is pretty much the seven.
right.
Well, probably about 10 if you include all the other division winners. But you know what I'm trying to say. Um, that's just by default. Some other teams are going to be added or in the mix. But uh,
Oh, and to man, Kansas City. I'll say this: I'm not going to disagree with anyone who puts Kansas City over the Steelers right now. But man, put it this way: if Kansas City did not have like Mahomes, like the Bold or Baltimore, Vegas easily wins that game on Sunday night. Like it just
yeah, since I watched the end, I was like, "There's too much time,"
too much time. Like
and he
it,
went down and sliced them too easy.
yeah.
It wasn't like Las Vegas had no shot whatsoever to stop Kansas City. It'd be nice I wanted to see Kansas City lose. To have that 2 game
Absolutely.
buffer for the number one seed.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, but um, it's like Mahomes like there might not be the number one seed, but like if you put the Steelers and Kansas City 1-2 on your power rankings,
which is
how
which is
how
what it
can you
should be.
not? How can you? And you could have them in any order.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the Steelers are perfect, but are they perfect? No.
No.
But I mean, obviously Pittsburgh can't be lower than 2 because they're undefeated. I mean,
I
Jesus.
think they are one of the few teams who match up really well with them, just because of our defense. We like force turnovers and we can get to
It's
to to, to the
the one
quarterback.
thing that would concern me would be secondary play. If Mahomes just has that game, well, like he always says, and just if he tears up the secondary more so, and their receivers get open,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a tough. It'd be a tough matchup in the playoffs. Um, it would be obviously the quarterback pressure,
Yeah,
disrupting home Mahomes. If they force a turnover and take advantage of the turnovers,
which I think they can
is
because
big. Well, yeah, they can.
I
Um,
I I, I just don't
get it.
because I think if we're just talking about guys like TJ, Cam, Tuitt, and like Bud, they're going to cause them problems. Just
Yeah,
and
the
especially Wattman, just like that. Like, man, how many times do we see every single game where he's in the backfield getting held like
yes,
on it seems like every single play, and
it's
like
that James Harrison effect.
it's that James Harrison effect. He,
Same
I
thing.
think, I think he has like 36 quarterback hits, which is like double the
I think he's
from
first. He's lead. See, is it him or is the whole team like leading in like QB pressures, QB hits, and definitely
well
sacks?
like
But
well like
I think he's lead. I think
the
he's leading in
yeah
something like that.
yeah like he definitely leads in that, but I think also with the team in general leads also in that,
Yeah,
and like he has a big part to do with that. Just he causes havoc, and he will definitely cause that Kansas City offensive line issues. Just they
it
have nobody who can block him. It's just that simple.
That potential matchup, I think it comes down to if you can get the turnovers. If you can get turnovers on Kansas City, score on those turnovers, take advantage, get
Yeah.
some form of points on those. And if
Mhm.
the offense needs to just not come out either
Possess the
conservative,
ball, possess the ball, and
come out
take up time.
conservative,
Yeah,
and just or just freaking score. Just it's gonna be a shootout. We all
yeah,
know, like,
yeah,
how could it not? Um, with Mahomes, you just need to score, like, sustained drives, smart play calling. Lord have mercy, and just be smart with the ball on offense, because this is Kansas City. It's Mahomes. You can't rely on the defense every opposing series, because it's inevitable. Mahomes is gonna put up yards and points on your ass. Like, one would assume that's not a stretch by the
it's
imagination,
gonna
right?
happen.
It's gonna be, both teams can easily score, probably could score 30 points on each other. Who knows? As to the defense, it's possible.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, for the Steelers' sake, how many of those 30 points come from turnovers? And again, sound like a broken record, but the turnover ratio is going to be key for Steelers
And
to
it's
win.
been it's been that way all season, and it's a major reason why this team is 10-0, because our offense takes care of the ball, and our defense takes it away. I mean, outside of that horrible INT at, at the end of the first half in Jacksonville, there Ben has been pretty squeaky
I
clean. So I mean,
I there was who I forget who he's thrown to, but kind of got, like, picked or something.
James Washington.
Yeah, in the end zone,
Yeah,
because that's where he was going for it. And I don't poo-poo him as much on that pick, because there was no time left, so it meant nothing, essentially.
Yeah.
You could have got points, or at least a field goal to get more points, but like if there was like a minute,
matter.
if there was like a minute left, or if there was time on the clock and it was against a more competent team, then yes, but it is what it was, and no harm, no foul, and I'd rather do with no time left, obviously, than with time left. But it is what it is. But yeah, Ben's pretty, like you said, squeaky clean on the interceptions. Been a couple scares. And another thing that it troublesome is the amount of tip balls at the line of scrimmage. It seems like once a game at least.
Sometimes 3 and 4 times a game. Well, and I think too a lot of that has to freaking do with a short passing game. They throw a ton of short passes, and that's going to
and the offensive line and stuff,
which
needs
they
to play
definitely this offseason they definitely need to invest in that this offseason, because I think, Matt, it's abundantly clear to me, Pouncey, Al, Filer, and hell, and as much as it pains me to say with David the Castro, it's just they haven't been good, and I think age, injuries are catching up to with these guys. So definitely something they'll need to address and
slowly but surely transition.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
But
It's gonna
now,
be an interesting rest of the year,
for sure,
football year.
All right, and now we're going to get into some like Mandalorian talk. Here, Matt. Overall thoughts on that on the most recent episode, or the previous episode.
Well, last week, since we're behind. I really enjoyed this one. We got the band back together, if you will. Gina Carano and
Ooh.
yeah, your girl and Cara Withers. I'll say that last name right. Yeah. Uh, with their characters, and they go to the what assumed was a non active imperial base, but what they saw was kind of got the question of why um, the Moff Gideon and them wanted Baby Yoda, or the child. Um, they wanted to take their blood from Baby Yoda for its high M count, the mini
Mm.
calorians that apparently was very controversial from the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I didn't really watch the prequels when they came out, so I don't remember the controversy. But regardless, that's a different topic for a different day. And we saw these pods or containers of what seemed like, or what confirmed to be failed clones of some sort. People have speculated and looking at screenshots, and I'm concurring more so of either early attempts of a Snoke or a Palpatine, because it kind of one kind of looked like they had the scar on the top of the head, like Snoke did. Um, Maybe it's just the grainiest of the picture, but it looked like the one face of the same body kind of looked like Palpatine-ish in the face. So the assumption is, and I love how they leave it open for us to speculate,
Oh,
that
absolutely.
early attempt of trying to maybe create another Palpatine or some force being to help to
Snoke,
take
as
over
you as
Snoke.
you.
That's when I first saw when I watched it. That was before I read anything, because I was when I read, I was just seeing if everybody had the same thought. When I first saw it, it was basically the first thing that popped in my head, without any context, or seeing any other opinion. And the person I was watching with kind of agreed. Um, yeah, it would make sense, um, and I to have more of a backstory, because in the sequels, the most of the backstory was pretty much in Rise of Skywalker, that it was basically they were clones, a failed attempt of Palpatine, but he was controlling it. Like it was him that wanted
Mhm.
him, but was Palpatine actually him? Was that actually him? And then like whatever. Um, but to have a backstory that the pieces of the Empire wanted
Right.
to create something, and then eventually they get it leads to Snoke, and I ends and creates the First Order. I'm assuming by the end of whenever Mandalorian's done, it leads into the
It has
first.
to.
It obviously has to, or
Has
like
to.
it teases that,
Mm.
or makes it, because again it has to, and this is the resemblance, not the resemblance, the first early take of the Empire trying to come back, which you make sense. Yeah, the second Death Star blew up and it's all falling and everything's into chaos. But
Yep.
there's going to be some sort of people who are not obviously dead or weren't captured or whatever, trying to get it back in the underground, if you will.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense. It's very intriguing, and I don't know what did you think?
Yeah. Honestly, I just don't know a lot about that stuff. So when you're texting me about it, I'm just like, oh, okay.
About
That
what about
about
what?
Snoke and with the clones there, and why they needed
The M
baby
yeah
Yoda
the
for those
M
from
counts, yeah.
yeah. those M counts there, and how this episode ended. Oh man, like Mando is going to be running into some issues here soon. That's for
Say
sure.
like yes.
Because obviously they placed a tracker on the ship there, so pretty much they will
And
know
then
where he's at.
Moff Gideon, it showed um that he has. I want to get um the dark troopers,
Something
if
like
I
that,
am
yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
That were oh they were used or they were shown in was it what was it the books or was it one of the video games that was canon something in the past that was used but it was never like in the movies. I think they're bringing it back, bringing it in here, something that was canon or something. It might have been a
Yeah.
maybe one of the video games. I can't remember. I remember reading this
Mhm.
somewhere, and I'm just too lazy to look it up now. But so that's very interesting. Moff Gideon, dressing like Vader. He has that Vader esque to him. So it's going to be interesting next episode. I think it, from what I read, excuse me, the title of it, the chapter is The Jedi, and one would assume, and you ended up being, if this is true, ended up being right, then we see possibly Ahsoka Tano
Mhm.
in this one at some point, if not the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and plus, then we still have the tease of Boba Fett um, there, and is is he maybe is he hunting on behalf of the Empire? Is he
Right.
tracking? Right, who knows? But so there's so
Mhm.
many. There's a lot of pieces um, in this season between Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, Moff Gideon, and the Dark Stormtroopers or Dark whatever the title. I forget it. Please forgive me, any Star Wars fans listening. And the possible Snoke clone, the cloning, and stuff there. There's a lot of pieces, and it's very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
getting good. It's getting good. They're ramping up the season.
Yep.
I love it.
And yeah, I'm very excited for the next episode, and
Yes.
we shall see how that goes.
In
All right.
in 2 days, I can't wait.
Yep, 2 days. All right. Matt, you want to talk a little bit about the Conan
Yes.
O'Brien?
And just a little discussion here. Yeah. So it was announced like kind of just last couple days, maybe within the uh last week, that on in June. Hey man, let me get this up here via deadline here. On June of next year, not specific date, that Conan O'Brien, most of you would know that he was writer on The Simpsons and SNL, had his own talk show host, long tenure talk show host from starting back in '93. Uh, took over David Letterman's show at NBC late night. He had Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and then the big mishap with him taking over Tonight Show for like 6 months, and
Right.
then had to leave, and Jay Leno got it, which was very entertaining late night television. I'm gonna tell you, I was all over that. Um, and then had a show on TBS since 2009, 2010 ish. Um, on like I said on TBS, was announced that he is having a new variety type show once a week on HBO Max. And that's all well and good and it should be entertaining, but this Deadline article raises a good question here. Or so with Conan moving to streaming and a prominent nighttime talk show host, what is the future of the nighttime or nightly talk show format on cable? Because you have, for years, you had multiple decades. The
Mhm.
Tonight Show, yeah,
Yeah.
Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, uh, Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno, and now Jimmy Fallon, who's doing a good job from that. I enjoy his show,
Mhm.
um, or have I haven't really watched it in a while. With just I don't know, and then you have the Late Show that had Dave Letterman, who retired several years back, and now it's Stephen Colbert, and then you have other shows like Comedy Central get Jimmy Kimmel having a show. But the thing is, are nighttime talk shows now with the streaming and everything? Um, if this was 10 years ago, it's never. This is not a question. Um, how how good can these shows survive?
Honestly, man,
Do they survive?
I don't think they do, honestly, because I think with the advent of like podcasting, I think that has really taken away a lot of that. Obviously, you look at the like Joe Rogan podcast and just seeing how successful that those are, and how like you are getting multiple guests, celebrities, even athletes, whatever, they are on there for like sometimes like 3 hours, and like you are getting more of an in-depth look at these people. Whereas and that is not to say that the shows can't be entertaining, but I just don't feel like that with the current viewer, that they're going out of their way to watch any late night TV like they used to, whether it was even 5 or even 10 years ago here, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, there were some attempts for late night talk shows. I'm just reading here this article that Netflix tried with Chelsea Handler. She had a show called Chelsea. Aired 3 episodes a week and was canceled after a second season. Um, uh, and they do have David Letterman. David Letterman has a show on there called My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. Kind of just have one person on the show and kind of just sitting and talking, um, which I think that suits more of the anytime you sit and watch anytime you want, with several episodes per week or per season, excuse me. Um, it's gonna be uh, I think it's gonna be weird. Apple TV apparently had a. I just read this now, has a deal with Jon Stewart for a show. Um,
Smart there.
yeah. Wait a minute. Apparently, other people have kind of do stuff and put it on some form of show on streaming. Um, Apparently, somebody from Amber Ruffin, that I guess was appeared on Late Night with Seth Meyers, like maybe on a regular thing. Records and airs her show um, on Fridays on Peacock, NBC's streaming thing. So it's I don't think they go away, the shows that quickly, because they still get viewers. They get the YouTube hits.
It's gonna be
Uh,
gradual though, I feel.
it's gonna, yeah, obviously, because James Corden does the carpool karaoke, and that's YouTube sensation. It gets millions of views.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of like YouTube clip worthy things. Um, I mean, for a while, I would watch the shows nightly. I would I would back in high school. I would
Mhm.
watch Letterman and then switch over to Conan, or watch Conan and switch, and then when he had the Tonight Show and still and keep it on for Jimmy Fallon. I would. I mean, I would watch this, and I was always so dedicated to late night talk show. I'm a big fan of all this stuff. Like I am like knee deep in like the lore, if you will, of late night. Like I have watched a an insane amount of times just YouTube clips of like back when Conan and Jay had that thing with the Tonight Show
Yeah,
and
yeah.
NBC screwed it up. How many times I have watched compilations of jokes and stuff of late night things like on YouTube and the jokes there. I've watched it too many times to admit, like I want to say, like that stuff like was always entertaining. I'm like all in on that. I have watched, clips of old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Like I'm a big fan, and it would be it just as a fan of those types of shows to see like the Tonight Show go away or transition to streaming. I I don't know. I don't know if that would kind of work with streaming to per se. Somebody's gonna sit down and watch whenever they want. Oh, I'm gonna watch a talk show. I don't know. It's gonna be very tricky and very curious to see what happens. I mean, I'm gonna watch when it comes out next year. His Conan show. I mean, I'm a big fan of Conan, and just kind of see like how one weekly show works. I think that works much better for a streaming thing.
I
Um,
agree.
so we'll see. Um, it's very interesting. I kind of equate this if we to video games, the transition from all physical to physical and digital um, way of buying games and just buying it digitally, and you don't have to go to the store and buy a physical thing or case of a game. Well, a lot of people still like to have the physical thing because you always have it. With digital, not everything's still going to be there, and now there's stuff of trying to stream games over. That's a big thing with Google and Xbox and Nintendo is trying. I play a game, a trial demo of a streaming thing over the internet, which was like blowing my mind. So I kind of equate that to that with these shows. There's a slow transition. There's a period of stuff here. You still have your traditional media, but the digital streaming thing is bearing down your neck. A constant reminder of where we're going, and like it's just crazy. We've probably used this analogy on the show before, but like 10 years ago, right? I'm in high school. You'd probably just start in college. This was never. You mean obviously in Netflix and Hulu, but it was kind of just a little extra treat. But you still had
Idea.
TV.
It was an idea, is what it was, and
You can watch some stuff. You can watch movies, but it wasn't like maybe there were some original shows on Netflix. I'm
honestly,
thinking of
man, like
House of Cards, but it wasn't
yeah,
as
like
big. You still had TV. Like
yeah, like
you're at
Netflix
home.
didn't really boom until we graduated college. Like I don't think it was like until like 2015, 2016 ish that it really
It was really taken off when I was in college because I was House of Cards. There was some shows I can't remember, but pretty much when we were in college, it was a lot of streaming. Netflix pretty much had the pretty much between like
it was like Marvel
2010 and now.
shows on like Netflix, like
That
Daredevil.
they had House of Cards. They had more more original shows kind of coming, but now there's a lot of original stuff, and they have their own movies. That was I don't think really part of that back then, a couple years ago. And then you had Amazon Prime doing their own shows, Hulu's doing their own shows. You have all these. You have CBS doing CBS All Access with some exclusive content. You have NBC with
Um,
Peacock
WWE with the network,
with the network.
and
That's kind of like the early, because Netflix obviously and
2014.
Hulu was
Yeah,
there
2014.
before
They
that. Was
launched
it
them.
2014?
Yep,
Wow,
it was
it seemed
2014.
longer ago. But they kind of, I don't want to say got the ball rolling, but
Mhm.
because they like pioneered the pay per view. So
Mhm.
now you saw that was getting away. Now they're strictly through them, and you have
Mhm.
ESPN. Well, even though it's still pay per view, UFC doing
Mhm.
pay per views and shows through that streaming platform.
Mhm.
You got HBO Max now. So
Disney
HBO,
Plus.
Disney Plus, basically all Disney. That's where you see all your Disney stuff.
Mhm.
Like within the last how many 5 years, it's just been
It's
how
boomed.
many streaming shows, streaming things are you subscribed to?
Exactly.
Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, HBO Max, Disney Plus. Um, I just missed one. What am I talking about?
WWE.
WWE Network. For that, CBS is. I said Peacock. There's just so many,
Mhm.
and then you got just streaming TV, YouTube TV, Sling. Um,
Mhm.
I think there's other ones. I'm just think, but
Yeah.
so everything's going more streaming, and like
Yeah.
I can stream Comcast here on this TV here, um, with their app, or you can stream it on your phone. Like I say, it's gonna be really interesting in 10 years. Um, how many people are gonna have your physical um, cable boxes, DVR boxes in a house? It's
Mhm.
almost going to be like a landline, where like when we were little, everybody had a landline. You called that, you left a message, and that's how you said, "Hey, is Jimmy home? Can Jimmy come out to play?" Now it's everybody just has these.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Nobody has. I still technically have a landline. Got,
Same here.
but
Yeah.
yeah, still got the landline. But like, it's amazing how many people just working in the school, this topic comes up. How many people say they don't have a landline? Um, I think say in 10 years, how many people don't have a cable box and just streaming their cable or just using different apps
Hell, like
on their
I
TV?
know. Hell, I mean, like my sister, they do everything through like through like Roku right now. So I mean, like it's. I mean, I think a lot of like younger couples, especially, like just they aren't gonna be paying
Millennials right
millennials
now are
aren't
going
paying for cable. No.
or not paying. Yeah, I mean you have to. I mean you're not paying for cable. Obviously pay for Wi-Fi, and like technically you could pay for Xfinity, but just streaming. You don't need a box or YouTube TV or whatever
Sling,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and just streaming the rest of stuff. Um, I think the big thing on for me to if it was up to me, I would like to stream, but like local sports, um, it you wouldn't be able to watch local sports because like YouTube TV, I don't think have for us AT&T Sportsnet to watch. Let's say your Pirates or your Penguins. Um, Steelers are okay because they're national chant on network
Mm-hmm.
TV, but like the local stuff, you're missing out on that. So I I think it's okay. The advantage as of now for a cable company is, even if you do still just stream it, is the local sports. If you're into that, if you don't watch sports or you really don't care, then this is not pertaining to you. But for me, it's great to have sports, watching hockey, baseball, those in particular. So 10 years, 2030, which will be very interesting to see where we stand in terms of streaming and TV.
For sure.
Because if in 5 years, in 10 years, a big paradigm shift happened, what's another 10?
Yeah, exactly. We'll find out for sure. But all right, so we're gonna be giving Matt. There's a big, I guess you could call it a spectacle that's happening this weekend, and that is the return of Iron Mike Tyson. Yes, he is gonna be fighting Roy Jones Jr., which is I believe happening on on specific site or something, but it's also but you can
I thought it was paper.
also buy it.
Paper.
Yeah, well, like you can also buy it on pay-per-view as well. And basically, Matt, and we were kind of reading some of the actual rules. This looks nothing but a basic sparring match and exhibition here, from what I'm seeing, just based on the rules. Like apparently you can't like knock anyone out, and if you get like cut, basically the fight's over.
Like a bad cut,
yeah. There's only two. There's only 2 minute rounds. Eight rounds
2 minute
total.
rounds.
Yeah,
bigger 12-ounce gloves, no head guards, no official judges or winner, and there's ex-fighters judging unofficially. So the spectacle, to me, I just saw this before we went on. I still kind of want to see it, but like the spectacle is kind of lessened for me, because it means there's no consequence. It's kind of just like if you and me kind of like, hey, you want to like spar,
right.
And like if we can't knock me out, and if we start bleeding, okay, it's over. And that's basically what it is. It'd be nice, to see, especially Tyson in the ring again, because have I ever seen him actually box in his? No, I can't recall. So it's a treat.
So I didn't really get into boxing. Like quite literally, I've been always an MMA guy. Like I'll watch some boxing, and I've gotten into it more just because I have a few friends who are extremely into it. So I've been like watching them, like Fury and like Wilder.
Yeah.
And
it's usually just the big names.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna be getting into like how like hardcore I am into MMA, where I will watch anything UFC or Bellator. I will sit down, I will freaking watch, because I am a huge fan. But as far as boxing, I am a casual fan. I am a big fight fan who I will buy a fight if a like Terrence Crawford's fighting a like a Lomachenko, Tyson Fury, etc. I'll buy that. But as far as anything else, probably not. But I've been going back and forth. I'm not sure if I want to actually see this or not. But definitely it has me intrigued, for sure. It's just with the rules, I don't think you can expect to actually get your money's worth here, if I'm being perfectly honest here. But there is that curiosity factor here too,
Yeah. Oh, apparently there's Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson on here too.
Yeah.
Jake Paul. I kind of, you know what? I kind of want to see, just to see Jake Paul get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
So that'd be worth money for me. I totally forgot I was on this card. Um, you can see it. The main card starts at 9 with prelims. I think starting at 8. It's a 4-hour event. It says here, priced at the pay-per-view price is $49.99.
That's not
Glad
bad, actually.
no, I'm
That's not
glad
bad.
it's glad it wasn't like 69 or
No, no.
65. You can order it on Fight TV, uh, or as well as Tyson on
Mm-hmm.
Thriller.com,
Yeah.
and obviously major cable TV providers. Um, was that, yeah, it's not bad. Main card starts at 9, and they say Tyson and Jones are expected to make their ring walk ring walks around 11 p.m. The fun fact: Roy Jones Jr. is being trained right here in Ambridge.
Not too
Uh,
far from you either, there, man.
about 7, 11 or so blocks away.
Yep.
You would never know
No.
this
Like,
boxing gym, but yeah. So very interesting. Uh, I kind of still want to see it. I wouldn't mind paying $50. The two fights I want to see, just to see Jake Paul. I forgot this was an actual thing. Um, yeah, and since it's not an actual fight, um, there's no betting odds. I mean, I'm surprised it still isn't. Well, no, there's no winner, so it doesn't matter. I didn't see any betting odds for anything else. Let me see. Where is? Of course, that's not there. Up. I think there's betting odds for some stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I want to see if it's on this card or not. Let's check the old DraftKings, shall we? No, I don't want to update every day. There's a new update. I swear to God on
seems
DraftKings.
like it. Yeah.
Saturday. I don't think this is this card. Did I see here? Um, no, I don't know if anything's come out, but I don't think this is on this card. Um, oh, there's a boxer on December 4th favored minus 2,500, 2,500, and then there's
Jesus.
another one December 5th minus 910. Oh my God. Uh, I don't think anything has come out for this. Huh.
Hmm.
Um, that's weird. Do any of these fights count? The hell. Um, so who knows? Maybe they won't come out till later. Um, later in the week, obviously. But yeah, it's gonna be a spectacle nonetheless. If you're on the Twitter, that's what a lot of people are gonna be talking about, depending on who you follow. So it's one of those boxing spectacles that get people in the boxing for a night if you're casual, and then nobody cares. It's sad to say, but that's kind of what it feels like to me. That unless there's a big name, um, nobody really talks about boxing as much
Um,
as compared to UFC,
MMA, MMA,
MMA.
UFC has taken over that like marketplace and like really, man. Ever since 2009, I would say UFC has just slowly, gradually, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And hell,
Yep.
even on these smaller cards, they have constant engagement, and it just they've completely have just wiped boxing for the most part. Yeah, like yeah, they will have some like big shows here and there, but hell, and like transition into some like UFC talk. I mean, hell, um even for a card as like last weekend, where like you didn't see any huge names or anything, but the I mean, just it just shows you just how big that the company is and how big that the sport has grown. That even a card like this, which featured, um, which I'm going to actually pull up here, um, here, which we saw two title fights, well, both in the like men's and women's flyweight divisions here. Davidson Figueiredo, he defeated Alex Perez very easily, first round guillotine. um was a little bit surprised how fast that ended, but didn't really seem competitive at all there at all. And Matt, the fight, I was really shocked at how this fight went, and that was Valentina Shevchenko. Actually, this went the full 5 rounds, which I didn't think there was going to be a chance in hell that was going to happen. Just based on the odds alone, she was a minus 2,000, I believe, or something. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm shocked.
But like she just Valentina just for some reason was just initiating with the wrestling and the takedowns. It was just weird, crazy. I
Excuse
didn't
me.
quite understand it, but that's just it was just kind of weird how that happened. But she dominated the actual fight, so it didn't really matter. Other fights, I'm like a Mike Perry Tim versus Tim means he won via a unanimous decision. I believe that it was. I can't remember exactly, but he gets a big win. Caitlin Chukagan, she got a pretty convincing decision win. Was very disappointed in Cynthia Calvillo's performance. To be honest, she just really never thought that she was in that fight from start until finish her. So, and lastly here, man, sh- unlike him Shogun, this man needs to retire. This was quite frankly very sad to actually watch. Just he just looks like a shell of himself. Clearly, age has caught up, but man, yeah, just really unfortunate. A pretty solid card. Not quite on some instances what I expected, but typically Dana has given us some great cards here, so I'm not going to really complain too much. We did get officially signed Connor versus Dustin Poirier, which is happening on the first UFC pay per view in 2021. Cannot wait for that card, and supposedly that's going to be happening on Fight Island, and that might possibly have a fans there, which I'm crossing my fingers at that there. And there's also Matt a huge card on December 19th, which that is pretty much a pay per view, which is absolutely free. I cannot wait for that card that's being headlined by like by like by Leon Edwards versus Chimaev, who is one of the biggest up and coming superstars in the sport right now. And there's like about 5, 6, or 7 other really good fights on that card. I really cannot wait for that. And for this upcoming weekend, we have Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis. Very interested to see how that fight is going to go. Two completely contrasting styles. There, one is a straight up brawler, and the other is a like wrestler. So we shall see how that goes there.
Hmm.
Well, Matt, I don't think I have anything else to add here. So unless you got nothing else, I will
I'm
take us on then.
yeah, I'm I think I tapped out for this week.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for this week's episode. We thank you once again for tuning in. Um, And we'd like to thank you, and like to thank you guys as well who tune into our professional wrestling live sh- live live stream on Friday night. We talked Survivor Series, Raw, Dynamite, NXT, and obviously the latest edition of Friday nights of Friday nights SmackDown. Um, so we're probably are going to be continuing the same schedule. Stay tuned to our Twitter pages for further updates. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and we shall see you in a on next on next Friday. So for like Matt and for John, we shall see you later.